This is Alex Dow, me, and this is my AP Computer Science Principles Reflection End of the Year video. Very long title, but it's gonna be fun. It's been a year. It's been a long year, but I guess we'll just get into the list of questions I have over here. But okay, what advice would you give to students who will be in this class next year? Well, there's a lot of advice that I would give, but I think the one piece of advice that I would give to every single student, I think, is just, especially in this class, is to be present. They're always like, oh, you have to participate in every single class. So in English, you have to read the passage or whatever, right? But especially for this class, I think you have to be present. You have to be in this discussion. And if you don't, if you're a little more quiet, then just listen to the discussion. Because I'm guessing that if you take this course, you have some proficiency in computers and you like computers and computer science, right? So that means that you already kind of know something about it, right? And if you have that kind of knowledge, it's not a hard class to get through, right? If you just, in the AP exam, it's pretty easy to get a 4. You're going for the 5, but it's pretty easy to get a 4 if you just be present. And most of the time, if you just kind of if you are present in class, then you don't really need to do study much outside of class until AP exam season. But during most of the year, you don't, if you listen and are not falling asleep in class, then you'll probably learn a lot during class, and you don't really need to do more outside. But who knows? For me personally, I think that's the one piece of advice that most students should know. Second question, knowing what you know now, if you could write a letter to yourself that would travel back in time and so that you would receive it at the start of the school year, what advice would you give to your younger self? Besides the be present in class thing, to my younger self, I think one piece of advice that's not academic but more social that I would give to my 9 months younger self, I think it's mostly to talk to your classmates. With other classes, with other theology or English or whatever, what other ones, weight training or whatever, right? You might have 1 or 2 people, one or two friends in your period, or you have the same interests as 1 or 2 people, but overall most people in your period, you don't really have a connection, or you don't have similar interest, right? So it's hard to create new friends, new connections, right? But with AP CSP being an elective and being an AP course, right, the people who are taking the course have some interest in computers, right? And that creates a connection, a pre-built connection, right? That lets you jumpstart talking with other people. So you might not, you don't have to naturally over time, 2-3 months, you'll start to build a community with the people in your class, in your period. But honestly, it's a lot easier and it's a lot better if you just try to, from the start, talk to other people. It doesn't have to be in the first week, but the first 2-3 weeks, if you try to make connections with other people in your class, it'll be a lot easier to get through the course. And if you have, because you have that one connection already, you're likely to find others like video games, like music or sports or something else, right? So I think that but yeah, I definitely think that forming connections early will make the class a lot easier, because like at the beginning I only had one person I really knew in the class, but as time went on, I talked to more people, and then the class got a lot easier. Everybody helps each other, right? So like if I was explaining something to someone, it not only helped them, but it also helped me in understanding also. Like it was like two-way connection, right? So I think that's also another thing that, especially myself, my younger self, I think that's something I would like tell myself, I guess. It's different for everybody, but for most people, I believe that's a good one that's not really academic. What was the most challenging part of this year for you? I think I enrolled in this class with the purpose of learning how to code JavaScript, right? I think that's most people. I think that's most people's like intention with enrolling in APCSP. But the thing is, that's not all what CSP is, right? There's units about the internet and global connections and like real world stuff, like real world problems. And so that kind of took me, I was unprepared for them. And like it's like internet, HTTP, what else? Data compression, lossy and lossless, and like ransomware and like key logging, stuff like that. Like it's terminology, right? That's important to today's society, but it just it took me longer to understand, and rather than the programming parts or like the other parts of the course, it definitely felt like it was harder for me to understand. I had to take more time, a little time out of school, to try to learn it. But otherwise, yeah, I think that was probably the hardest part for me throughout this year. What is something that was hard for you at the start of the year but is easy now? I think the one thing that I definitely feel like it was harder for me then, but it's easier for me now, is like going into the course, like formatting and organizing my code. Because going into this course, I knew how to code in HTML and CSS, like probably the easiest coding languages, right? But even then, I wasn't really organized with my code and like it wasn't really formatted well. So going into this course, that's something kind of like I wish I could solve it. Like I'm not gonna focus on it, but it was definitely something that I felt I could work on, right? And I definitely, throughout the course, I think I definitely helped. I definitely improved in that skill. Before, if I did not code something in one session, it was very hard for me to understand what I coded later. It's all about, I felt unconfident in this myself. So throughout the course and throughout coding, I had to consciously do it. I had to consciously okay, I have to format it this way, I have to organize it this way, list, variables, functions, stuff like that. But it naturally, as it gone, I'm able to do it subconsciously, so that I didn't have to focus my brain power, the little bit of energy I had during the day to trying to format and understand my code if I was working on a project that took multiple periods. So I think that's definitely the one thing that like has gotten easier, that something like a problem I had at the beginning of the course that I think I solve now. List 3 ways you think you have grown or developed as a result of this course. What do we do in class to help you achieve that skill? I guess, well, I think the first thing that I like grew as a person is participating in discussions. Like in every other one of my classes, right? It's always like, oh, raise your hand, wait for the teacher. Most of the time they don't see it for like 3 minutes, and it seems like the eyes just go straight through you. And like, but in APCSP, right? You participate in a lot of discussion without like you obviously have to be respectful and patient towards others and their opinions, right? But it really teaches you like, hey, you have an opinion too, and you deserve the chance to voice it, right? And like, it's not only in the class, I think it's also with life. It's important to do that, and it definitely, by like having students like self-lead, I guess, not like self-lead, but like you like having students self-lead, it also, one, teaches them to be respectful of one another, but it also teaches them to lead as a group rather than like as an individual. And it definitely puts more confidence in yourself by like hey, you discuss as a group, and you create ideas and you learn new stuff as a group rather than just being by yourself, right? And I think that's definitely something that like I feel I've definitely grown and become more confident in. The second thing I think I definitely feel more confident in is being more confident. I think I've grown in being more confident because at the beginning of this course, in my mind, I subconsciously deflected compliments and didn't want to I felt like I didn't want to impose my works and my ideas on other people. I feel like, oh, I was being too much of a nuisance and stuff like that. But throughout this course, I felt like I learned that yeah, you could definitely be that, but it's also you have to be proud of your work. You have to be confident in saying that yeah, I worked on that program, and hey, I did that, and other people should have the chance to see it, and if they want to, hey, I made that. Isn't that pretty cool? I'm not gonna force you to see it, but aren't they pretty cute? I don't know. I think so. And I made that. You should have the chance. I put it out there. You don't have to see it, but I'm pretty proud of it, right? And it's I think there's obviously going too far, but you shouldn't, it's moderation. Everything is good in moderation, and I think that's also another thing that's the goal, the moral of the story, not the story, but the course, I guess, is also moderation is key, right? And you should be assertive and confident that your knowledge and your work deserves to be seen, right? I think that's the second thing. The third thing I would probably say for being growing and becoming more developed in this course is working as a team. I feel definitely before I wanted to work I like to work by myself, because in group projects I was oh, my group members, they're not going to do anything, I have to do the work, right? And it definitely felt I throughout the course and computer science is a collaborative thing. Like no one person worked on it itself. Thousands of people worked on it. Every web page that you look, every computer that you see, every laptop, every whatever, every technology, it's collaborative. It's not one person. It might have been one person doing some gizmo or gadget, right? But most 99.9% of things, it's a collaborative process, right? And it's like there might be a leader, but most of the time it's the group leading, like as a whole. There's a leading itself, and I think that's something that I definitely needed to learn, and I did learn throughout the course. And I grew as a team member, right? And I feel like I felt like I was a better person working equally with others, and it also allows you to accept other people's ideas and like work, because always more brains is better than one. But it definitely I've definitely grown in that sense, I guess. What goals did you set for yourself in this course, and how well did you accomplish them? I think the main goal I set for myself in this course is to learn and be proficient at JavaScript. And looking back, just having just taken the AP exam today, I think I've mastered it. Not mastered it, no. Oof, far from it. I still have a lot to learn, but I've become proficient enough that I feel confident in my skills in JavaScript, right? And it's what I signed up for the class for, right? And I think by the end, I definitely learned it 100%, and I proved it by taking the AP exam. And like, if you take the class, you'll definitely complete that goal, I feel like. What problems did you encounter in this course, and how did you solve them? I guess the biggest problem I had in this course was like solving problems efficiently and methodically. It was a problem for me from the beginning, I guess, and it definitely felt like I didn't solve problems correctly. So it was like a natural thing. It was throughout the course that I was like, okay, this is how I do it. Try to identify, then you try to like, oh, what am I trying to solve? Then it's like, hey, it's like, yeah. It's like, what am I trying to solve? And it's like, hey, wait, I think I have a solution for this. I'm gonna try it. Ooh, it didn't work. Okay, well, maybe this one? Alright, yeah, no, that works. So it's kind of like it's a repetitive process, but it definitely has a solution. It definitely has a formula, and it applies to everything in life. You could apply it to everything in life. It's like you like, oh, I have this problem. What problem is it, right? And it's like, oh wait, I might try something, right? Oh, did it work? Nah. Maybe this other one, right? Oh, that finally works, right? So and it repeats, and it's like, it's not only for computer problems, but it's for any general problem you have in your life. And I feel like I definitely became like better. I solving problems. I solved my problem of solving problems. Ain't that fun to say? Yeah, I think that's definitely the main problem I had throughout the course that I was able to eventually solve. What one assignment for this course was your best work? What makes it your best work? What did you learn by creating it? And what does it say about you as a programmer? Well, there's one work that I definitely think is my best work, my magnum opus, but I did not peak right now. But my best work definitely was the project for the AP exam. It was a Pokemon knockoff, right? And it was a lot simpler than like Pokemon X or Y, or like that's the best one, Pokemon X and Y, my game. But it was a lot more simple. But it still had a lot of complexity, right? I had a whole attack and heal system that did damage based off of like accuracy, and depending on the move and depending on what your opponent was. It only had 4 elements, creatures, what you saw before, but it was I definitely felt confident in doing it, and I'm so proud of myself for doing it. I think one of the best things it shows about me as a programmer is it definitely showed that I was able to format and organize my code like before, right? Because it was like 560, I think it was around 560 lines, right? And 200 of those lines was one function. I had all the attack and heal like program in one function, and even now it was like it's kind of hard to read. But like if I didn't format, like if I didn't know how to format and organize it, oh boy, it would not be pretty, and it would be almost ineligible, because like I worked on that project over multiple sessions, over multiple hours, right? And I would not have been able to understand my own code. But yeah, I put so many hours into it, and I'm really proud of it. And also another thing is like it's almost bugless. Like I had a lot of people test it, and I was able to debug it. And like I'm proud of saying like I'm able to use it. It's a fully functional game, and I'm able to give it to someone, and they will rarely find any, if at all, like any little bugs, right? So I think that's definitely my best work. My magnum opus. For now, hopefully I will create a better one. But for now, I think that is definitely my best work that I created this year. What strategies did you learn to learn the material in this course? Which were most effective and why? I mean, I've said this like 3 times before. Definitely the best strategy, just to be present in class. That's the most effective, like logically and time-wise. Like because you pay attention in class, outside of class, you spend that time on working on other classes. Like you effectively spend that 90 minutes you have to be there, and then you don't have to work on it for like another 90 minutes outside of class. So I think that's definitely the most effective and most effective and an efficient way to learn the material. But especially if you're trying to grasp it, watch YouTube or Google it. Like you're using a computer, you're going online, you're using YouTube. Like there are an innumerable amount of topics, of videos about the topics you learned in the class, like hundreds. And just by looking it up, there's ones that are like 30 minutes long, there's ones that are like hours long, and there's one that's like 10 minutes long. And I think all of them are pretty good. Like don't go to like the 20th page, but if you watch one of the videos on the first page, you will 100% have a better understanding of what a packet is after you watch the video, because everyone's so good at explaining stuff, and it's in a digestible way. So and it only takes like 10-20 minutes out of like a day. So it's definitely, I think if you need more resources, I think that's definitely, and it's free, right? So I think it's definitely the most effective, second most effective and efficient way to study for the course. What are your strengths as a programmer? I think I said this before, but one, my proficiency in JavaScript. I'm confident in myself. But more importantly, I think it's my persistence and dedication. I guess like I like coding, and I find it to be fun and relaxing. Like I don't find it a chore to spend time coding, right? So and because of that, and I prefer to code than do other stuff. Like if I find a problem in my code, I'm like, okay, well, I'd rather try to solve that problem than do my math homework or like my English essay, right? So I think that's also for better or for worse, probably for worse, but I definitely am dedicated to what I'm working on, and I'm not gonna leave something halfway done, right? I want to solve a problem when I find it, and I put in hours of work to try to make the app as best as I can. Like for AP exam, all I had to do was make it barely functional. I wanted to make it a fully functional app that any input that I put on screen would work, right? So I think those are my two greatest strengths as a programmer. Well, that was me answering the questions. I'm very tired. I just took 2 AP exams today. I took the AP CSP. I did well. It's been a long year, but it went by very fast, and I'm glad for taking this course. I think I'm definitely a better person and a better coder, definitely. But reflecting on the whole year, it's very stressful. There's a lot of stuff, but I think it was worth it.